There has been a flock of cockatoos spotted mastering complex moves, crazy outbursts happening in LA, and potentially a ghost cracking a mirror revealing his face in it. In today's video, we're going to be reacting to some of the strangest and more bizarre videos that I could find on TikTok. Let's get into it.
Speaking of finding things in the ocean, dark oxygen. So scientists, they went to the depths of the ocean. I think it was in the Pacific Ocean. And they found these basically rocks that are called polymetallic nodules. They're ancient rocks that produce enough electricity to interact with the salt water to produce oxygen. They say that they're formed over millions of years, and there's clusters of them all over the ocean floor, specifically in the Pacific. They discovered 5,000 new species of marine life.
Oh my gosh.
90% of which they never knew existed. And now there's this big fight to start harvesting them because they contain nickel, copper, and cobalt. So it's like this amazing rich elemental chunk of thing, and they grow up to like size of softballs.
I don't know, you're disturbing the floor. There's so much impact we don't even realize.
Let's speculate the deep sea creatures are munching on those. That's sustaining that cycle of life. Further. We take these out, all the fish are dead in the world.
That's gonna give some validation to non-human intelligent life in the ocean. I mean, if there's a natural source of electricity and oxygen that they've just found, and we've explored 1% of the ocean floor, it's like, dude, there's probably some other stuff down there producing electricity and oxygen.
100%. By statistics alone, like, yeah, if we found that, yeah, there has to be more stuff out there.
I definitely believe that if the ocean is as big as they say it is, and we've only explored as much as they say we have, it would not surprise me at all if there's some kind of higher level of intelligent life form down there that is utilizing some of these elements for themselves. Maybe they're in deep underwater caves, and it's just a completely different species we have never discovered. There's probably some pretty advanced stuff down there going on, and we're just not aware of it yet.
Los Angeles is looking like a freaking war zone right now. What you are seeing is wild footage of protesters clashing with federal immigration agents and law enforcement. Rioters are pelting military vehicles with rocks, as seen from footage inside this vehicle. And there are even videos of guys throwing rocks at regular cars as well, but those are believed to be used by federal agents. The streets are burning after protesters have put up barricades and set fire to cars and trash, and authorities have responded with force. Some have opened fire on crowds with rubber bullets, and Donald Trump has now officially ordered 2,000 members of the National Guard to be deployed in LA. So how the hell did things get so out of control? Well, protests broke out on Friday following widespread arrests of undocumented migrants in certain areas of Los Angeles. Now, one of the major inflammatory points is that according to the American Civil Liberties Union, many of these arrests are allegedly being carried out without judicial warrants. The government, however, strongly deny this. The protests were initially described as peaceful, but as time passed, visuals of the violence that has emerged shows how quickly things have deteriorated. California's governor, Gavin Newsom, is not happy about Trump's deployment of the National Guard, saying it is purposefully inflammatory and will only escalate tensions, while LA's mayor labeled it as completely unnecessary. Trump, however, said that the governor and the mayor simply cannot do their jobs, so he has had to step in order for law enforcement to be protected. And if the unrest continues to escalate, Pete Hegseth said that we could even see the Marines mobilized, who are currently on high alert. But of course, as the situation develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
I hope everyone comes out safe with this, because that just looks dangerous. This whole situation is just really sad. It's unfortunate that things have come down to this.
The following video is from a woman named Jess out of Chicago. She's taking us on a tour of her home that her family was going to be moving into. And things took a dark, twisted turn, because she firmly believes this house may have a dark, sinister history. There is what appears to be cages in the basement, along with these mysterious showers and hooks and really large sinks that are not in your typical basements. Something definitely was going on here. Take a look at this video, comment below, tell me what you think.
Okay, so y'all, my mama planning on moving, and this the house that she planning on moving in, because we just found this type of shit. Y'all, when I tell y'all this house look like somebody getting kidnapped in this house and locked up in this house. Yes, oh my God, look. Look at the basement, first of all. Look at this. It look like people been locked up down here. Look at this. And then it's a shower right here. So that means he used to make them shower right here. Like, why would you put a shower right here? He used to make them shower right here. Like, why would you put a shower right here? Then look at this. Hold on. I'm gonna show y'all. Look at this thing. Like somebody been eating. They be eating right here. Yeah, look at this, y'all. Look at this. This is the. Look at this. Like, it's literally a cage, bro. It's cages down here. Look. Like somebody been locked up down here in this basement. This is like sad. Look, what a dough at? Look at this. Like somebody been locked up. Look. Oh yes! Like somebody been tied down here. Oh my God. Then look at the hooks. Oh my God. Oh my God. We can't move here.
I mean, hey, that place is definitely a fixer-upper. It's big. That's a really big place. And it looks fairly old, so who knows the history of it? I would honestly like to know a little bit more about that building personally, because there might have actually been an interesting history there.
So this is what it actually feels like to drown. First of all, your body will naturally try and grasp for air and you'll be sent into a bit of a panic. But what you don't realise is that this just makes things 10 times worse and 10 times quicker. You will then feel a sharp pain on your rear, which doesn't help the sensations either, gets your body into that fight mode, and you will frantically be trying to reach for the surface. Shortly after this, your lungs begin to tighten and you will feel like your insides are about to explode. This is the worst part. You will be frantically panicking, you will be in pain, you will feel everything that's going on, and you know that your life is likely about to end. You have one last effort at dragging yourself to the surface and trying to get any air you can, but at this point, it's too late. Your body now begins to just completely give in as your lungs fill up with water. At this point, your brain fully loses oxygen and means it stops communicating with the rest of your body, followed by what's believed to be a painless, euphoric feeling, almost like you're living in a dream, before fading away into the darkness.
Well, that actually is one of my fears of going, is by drowning or being burned alive or buried alive. Those are probably up there to being some of the worst ways to go, in my opinion. Falling to death would also be a pretty bad way, but at least the impact is sudden as long as you're up really high. Drowning and burning, or even being electrocuted, has a time period where it takes time, and I don't want to experience that. Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. For everyone that's currently watching and or subscribed, I upload a video every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. And I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel.
Hello friends, so do we exist in a simulation? No, of course we don't. Do we exist in a simulator? Yes, of course we do. So what's the difference? Let me tell you, it's a big one. It has to do with free will. So a simulator is a virtual environment that you enter into voluntarily for the purposes of growth and training and development. Whereas a simulation, the controls are done at a system level, and if you're the agent inside a simulation, you're just along for the ride. Your behaviors and actions have no bearing on the final outcome. So free will is the biggest differentiator between a simulation and a simulator, and I believe that this reality is a simulator for consciousness development, that our consciousness, which is non-physical, comes into this physical reality and these physical avatars to have these experiences here that it just can't have in the non-physical. And when you come in here and you have the memory wipe and you think this is life or death and there's nothing else, and you have these emotions and you have these adversities and challenges and all that kind of stuff, your consciousness benefits greatly from all this stuff. It is an immense training simulator for consciousness development. That's what I think that Earth and the physical experience is, a simulator for consciousness development, not a simulation. And there's a humongous difference between the two. Let me know what you guys think about that. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
That's not a bad take. But to me, if we are these conscious beings or these spiritual beings that just keep going into these physical shells and wipe out our memory, you would think that there would be a point where you gain so much consciousness that you are so aware that you just do not forget about your spiritual self and you retain all of those memories. Or if you are in this shell that's been completely memory wiped, once you remember, oh yeah, I'm a spiritual being, you should be able to like tap into that and unlock those memories and or what it's like being the spiritual being.
Right, me and the Disclosure team have been talking about this, and we've kind of done a bit of pattern recognition, and Phoenix Wizard, Umesh, my good friend, and Foil Hat Theories Dan, we have found this. Look at this. So, the pattern basically perfectly replicates the Sumerian star system, right? The Sumerian seal depicts a central celestial body with 11 surrounding orbs, long speculated by researchers like Zechariah to represent a solar system with an unknown 12th body, sometimes called Nibiru. The Avebury crop circle features a sun/starburst at the centre and 12 radial orbs mirroring that same 12 body cosmic structure. Right, the radial symmetry of this, 12 outer circles arranged with high precision like the zodiac wheel or clock face, 12 hours, right? Central ring star, the centerpiece here, echoes the Sumerian solar glyph with interwoven triangle petal-like rays common in solar deity or consciousness symbols, okay, historically. The triangle rays on the outside here alternate in length, possibly encoding a binary or directional system. So overlaying the crop circle again from this Sumerian, this bad boy, so you've got the 12 universal archetypes, zodiac, tribes, DNA strands, central sun, source, God, intelligence, okay? The source of all, which is this central power. Radiating spokes, dissemination of energy or information, okay? The image seems to function like a transmission glyph, not just visual art. Now, we're just dipping our toes into what this could symbolize, and again, big up to Foil Hat Theories Dan, Phoenix Wizard, my boy as well, and we're just kind of playing around with this, mate, and we've only done a surface level play about, but this is what we're kind of bringing up so far. What do you guys think, man? Anunnaki returning? Is this the whole Planet X Nibiru stuff? Things are happening.
I have always been fascinated with crop circles. I do believe some of them are real, but I also believe that a lot of them are fake. But for the real ones, what are they? And what purpose do they serve? I have theorized about crop circles and kind of tied them in with plasmoids. I may have talked about this at some point on this channel. But what if crop circles, like actual genuine crop circles, are mating signs for these plasmoid creatures that are floating around in the sky that we were calling UFOs or UAPs? Kind of like how a bird decorates their feathers with whatever debris that they can find around their area. What if a plasmoid just does that and they're like, yep, you see this? This is what I've done. And that's just basically like their mating call. I'm not saying that that is what that is at all, but it's an interesting theory. If you guys have any theories about crop circles, let me know. Or do you just believe that they're all fake? I'm kind of on the same side, but there's still a little bit of me that just believes that some of them are real.
You want to know how deep I've gone down rabbit holes? I'm convinced that both of the world wars were really just to erase the old world, and that there was an entire narrative scripted around who the bad guys were, who the allies are, and it was really meant to just destroy all of these beautiful cities. They took out all of the bells. If you guys haven't looked into why there would be bells in public spaces and the healing properties and the harmonious properties that these churches and all the architecture was built in, okay, it's sacred geometry, and it's not unrealistic that they started 2 world wars and put, at the time, our best men in every single country lined up across each other because they wanted to take out the most brave and quote-unquote prestigious men for every country, knowing that all of them would want to go to war.
I could spiral on about this theory for a while, so I'll just cut it off here, but I do have some feelings that there's more behind the scenes of what's going on than meets the eye, and history has been written for us to be not only entertained by it, but to fear it, and it's not necessarily the whole truth.
We have a unique video coming out of Florida, and if it's real, it could be one of the best videos captured of a ghost. This comes from a witness named Kendall, They were looking out the window when they saw what they think may be a ghost walking across the golf course. Now, of course, people are chiming in saying it's just a reflection. But keep in mind, there's nobody else in the clubhouse or behind the witness. So if it's a reflection, coming from where and who? Or is this truly a ghost? Take a look at this video, comment below, tell me what you think.
At first, I thought it was like a smudge on the window and it was an optical illusion that way. But as it zoomed in, it definitely looks like someone walking and then they just poof. I'm going to say that that actually was someone walking around that tree and the camera just did not catch him. It blurred out of existence. That's my only guess. If you guys have any, let me know. Otherwise, it could have been a ghost.
All right, let's keep digging through this wild case file from Brazil's recent massive UFO document drop. And in this part, we're going to break down what all of these people reported seeing in the skies, the shapes, the colors, beams of light that were attacking people. This wasn't just a sighting of a distant light hovering in the sky. This was close contact. The main activity occurred between September and December of 1977, often at night. So let's start with the location hotspots. Most of it was seen in Colares, Baía do Sol, Mosqueiro, and other surrounding river islands in Para. Forgive me if I botched any of those names. The frequency was crazy. Multiple UFOs were seen nightly, sometimes even dozens per night, often by entire villages and military observers as well. And they reported shapes that all were consistent. The eyewitnesses and military descriptions said that they saw spherical or orb-shaped lights glowing intensely, usually white, sometimes with a reddish hue, mostly cylindrical shapes, disc-shaped saucers, and some were described having a top hat or a metallic dome on them. These descriptions came from both locals and military observers, which is interesting. The UFOs emitted colored beams of light, most commonly white, but sometimes had a blue hue, a red hue, and the beams were said to be highly focused, often compared to laser spotlights, and were said to chase or strike people directly. Locals called the phenomenon chupa chupa, due to the sensation of energy being pulled from their bodies. The maneuvers and the behavior of these crafts were described as being silent, hovering, or darting across the sky with instant acceleration, like we've heard so many times. The military personnel noted that some of these objects traveled in formation, they could hover silently just meters above the ground or the water, and they executed instantaneous 90-degree turns, impossible for known aircraft at the time, according to these witnesses. And they did go through a thorough witness verification process. There were military logs that confirmed their own sightings and included photographic evidence. There were dozens of civilian testimonies aligning independently on the timing, appearance, and light behaviors of these objects. Again, there's more coming, so stay tuned for episode 3. We're going to keep digging through all this. It's really fascinating.
Wow, I'm really glad this guy is covering all this because there's not that many people, as far as I can find on TikTok, that are actually covering this. Now, most of the news so far is pretty much what I expected. It's just eyewitness accounts of lights and objects seen in the sky, but it's still really interesting, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit more as he uploads more videos on this, so we'll see.
For the first time ever, cockatoo birds have started sipping from Sydney, Australia's water fountains after mastering a series of complex moves that allow them to turn the spigot and get the water to flow. And scientists believe that these clever birds actually learned the technique by observing people and then trying to replicate that themselves. I found this article fascinating. I think that animal intelligence articles are fascinating in general. What we're talking about today is the sulfur-crested cockatoos in Sydney, which, in case you're unfamiliar, look like this bird here. They make great pets. They're a little bit on the larger side, so it's easier for them to manipulate human-sized objects. And they're among the more intelligent bird species, but we knew that even before they were drinking water from the fountains. Researchers had received reports that this was happening, so they set up camera traps and recorded the birds taking turns drinking at a fountain. Over a weekend, there were over 500 attempts over 44 days, and the birds were successful about 46% of the time, with scientists saying the behavior consists of a combination of actions involving both feet, bill, and shifting body weight to start the water flow. The birds would actually have to grip the handle and actually push it forwards to activate it in order to get a drink. And one of the things that's fascinating about this article is that over 70% of the local bird population attempted to do this. So it's rapidly spreading amongst birds, which is amusing because the same city actually had a bin opening problem. This is an unrelated scientific article where cockatoos once again learned something they shouldn't. They learned how to open garbage bins and forage for food. So the authors of this study are concerned that cute little cockatoos are going to teach other ones all across Australia how to use the water fountains, which is wild, fascinating. They're incredibly intelligent birds. They've been known to dunk biscuits in water before eating them, dipping their food in yogurt to add flavor, and all sorts of other problem-solving behavior, which personally I think is really cool.
Cockatoos are amazing. Growing up, we had a cockatoo and an African gray and actually a number of other parrots. And he did say that they make great pets, which is definitely the case. They're the sweetest birds. But you have to make sure you give them attention. If not, they're going to basically demand attention. They love attention. But nonetheless, seeing them lined up on that fence sharing that spigot's pretty neat. Hey, let me know in the comments. Do any of you have any parrots? And if you do, what kind?
My mirror's cracking by itself.
What's happening? Wait, stop.
Harry, my mirror is cracking by itself.
She began filming after noticing something inexplicable. The mirror in her living room spontaneously cracking without any apparent cause.
My mirror's cracking by itself.
Adding an extra layer of eeriness, several commenters pointed out what appears to be a ghostly face slowly manifesting within the shattered glass, staring directly back at the camera.
I know.
I've seen mirrors crack like this before under cold conditions. If it had a slight crack in it, it would crack if it got really cold. So maybe it was just fractured and it was cold, or they had the air conditioner running and it was just cold enough that it finally gave. That's my guess. Either that or there's a ghost trying to get out of there. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments.
Okay, y'all, so everybody's out here making videos, talking to trees like, touch me if you can hear me, and that's cool and all, but what does it mean when you have a group of hummingbirds surrounding you, hovering around you, and even landing on your fingers? Do you know how rare that is, y'all? Hummingbirds don't play that. Do you know how much of a high vibration you have to be in order for them to be attracted to your frequency? These birds are highly elusive, high alert, high speed, and they're very selective with who they share their energy with. And for one to come to you, that's wild. But a whole group of them, y'all, that is divine. And look at her just sitting in her chair like she's used to this, y'all. Look at her. She looks a bit perplexed, but that's normal because our whole life we've been dealing with things that don't really like us too much, y'all. This baby goddess must be on a whole nother frequency. You see, that's why they're calling hummingbirds like like frequency, like a mantra, like vibrational resonance. People just don't attract hummingbirds. Your aura has to be magnetic, just like bees to a flower. This is ancient ancestral energy returning through the use, y'all. Look at her. Look at the birds. See, this is exactly what our children are supposed to be doing when they're young, y'all. That's why they call it elementary. They're supposed to be working with the elementals, and they took them out of the environment because we're literally Pocahontas running with the animals and everything like that. They disconnected it from us. Now it's coming back naturally. Y'all see this. The shift is here, y'all. The signs are all around us. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let's continue to get it. Peace in.
Okay, this could be absolutely game-changing and one of the crazier things of the year. Scientists at the Indian Institute of Technology made a groundbreaking discovery a couple of months ago. But in more recent studies, they have said that this could actually be a way to cure cancer, specifically breast. Obviously, breast cancer being one of the most common forms of cancer which affects a lot of people worldwide. Let me take you back a few years to the creation of Orbeez, the toy that you probably used to play with when you were a kid. They look like that, right? Well, they are made out of something called Hydrogel, which is actually what's being used in this research. When you get cut or graze your arm or something bad, you go to the doctors and you get a bandage put on it and it heals over time. What these researchers developed is, using hydrogel, they made a sleeve which actually healed these cuts fully within a very, very short time frame. And now, although the full research findings haven't been published yet, clear that somehow they have used this hydrogel to inject it into a cancerous part and actually clear it. Which is absolutely groundbreaking, because if this does work on a lot of tests, then this could be insane. Now, I'm not sure on the ins and outs of how this actually physically works to get rid of the cancer, but they're going to be running a lot more tests on this and on this other product, so I'll keep you updated.
Well, that'll be an interesting study. I actually had a godmother that just recently passed away due to breast cancer. So rest in peace to my Aunt Rosemary. So when I see things like this coming into research, it does give me a little bit of hope that there will be something out there one day. It just leads me to the next question. What's the side effects going to be?
Something is going on. Like, I don't know, but I think that we shifted into another dimension. Now, listen to this. So I was looking at a world map today. And I'm like, wait a second, like all these countries are completely in a different place. Like, look at where South America is. South America has always been under North America, and now it's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Look at New Zealand. Look at some of these other islands and where they are. You can't tell me that this map wasn't different 5 years ago. Okay, so I started going down the rabbit hole, and I looked at Home Depot, right? I go there all the time. I was there a couple weeks ago. Except it's not called Home Depot. It's called the Home Depot. Yeah, there's a "the" in front of the Home Depot. King Tut, right? We all learned about him in school. And we've seen that famous mask, right? That's solid gold that he wears. What's on the top of it? A giant cobra. Nope. There isn't one. Okay? There is a cobra, but it's to the right. And there's also another vulture on the other side. It's completely different. Think about Scary Movie 2. My favorite line to say is, "Take my strong hand." Except he never says that. Now he says, "Take my hand." If you don't believe me, look it up for yourself. Like, something is going on. We've shifted into another dimension.
The only thing out of this that really is like a Mandela effect for me, from my reality, is from Scary Movie 2. When he's reaching down there to save that guy, he does say, "Hey, take my strong hand." And he references it as his strong hand a few times in the movie. But it is no longer "take my strong hand." So maybe we have changed into another dimension. Or maybe I just misremembered that scene, but it was also a really funny scene to me as well. But let me know in the comments, are you aware of any of these Mandela effects, or have any of them been altered to you? Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me, and with that being said, have a good day.